Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video where you'll see the video that's going to be, I did it a few days ago, so I'm just doing the intro and the outro for it. It was an interview that I did with a fashion designer here in South Africa named Hayley Joy. She is quite brilliant. She makes clothes for plus sizes, and she is also prints her own fabric, and she does it with iPhone photography, which you'll hear about in the interview. So I hope that you enjoy it.
I love being creative and trying new things in my journey through life, writing best practices, tips and tricks, sharing updates on my own writing and books with different tutorials sprinkled in between. I enjoy sharing my knowledge. There's music covers and original pieces written and composed by me, handmade jewelry reveals, sewing videos, other crafts, poetry reading, book reviews, and many, many more. Come and join me on this journey, and let's have fun together. Hi Hayley, thank you for joining us at Hayley Joy Creations and for agreeing to speak to me and do this interview. I really appreciate it because I'm one of your fans.
You sweet.
So I really like your clothing. I have a few questions just so that some people that are out there that are maybe needing a little bit of motivation in the times that we have it now can get some from people that are already successful in what they're doing. So one of the things that I wanted to ask was, how did you start way back when you...
It was the usual story, you start a business because of your own pain point. So my pain point was that I'd put on a fortune of weight, and 35 years ago, there was nothing for plus size women. Nobody was doing fashion for bigger sizes. So I had to clothe myself. I started making clothing for myself, and people started coming up to me, like wherever I was. If I was in a shopping center, if I was in a restaurant, if I was at a dinner party, a woman would come up to me and they'd be like, please can you tell me where you bought your clothes? And I suddenly realized that there definitely was a gap in the market. But I thought I was like doing a good thing. I went to a 2XL. I never ever thought beyond, like I was probably at that stage like an extra large, a plus size extra large, not a regular size extra large. And I went to a 2XL and I thought and then when I opened my physical store and I started getting really, really large women coming in and seeing the disappointment on their face, that's when I just decided, you know what, I actually need to take this as big as I can go. That's how big I'm going to go. And I just responded to the market. As each new client came in, we went 3XL, 4XL, 5XL, 6XL. We do 7XL on order, and we do have some of our patterns in an 8XL as well. But genuine plus size, not upsized from regular sizes, because there's a very big difference. And I'm always very militant when I explain it, because there's a huge difference between taking a normal 34, 36 and grading it all the way up to actually developing a genuine plus size. So what we did was we took me, and we measured me in 5 centimeter increments from my neck down. And then we plotted that onto a piece of brown paper, and we got our first basic front, back and sleeves. And then from there, we started to grade up. And we have different grading, because I think there's different grading for plus sizes. I don't think you go up in the normal. So I graded according to what I'd seen on the floor in my store.
Okay.
Market research.
Yeah.
Doing your own market research is a very, very important thing. And a lot of young entrepreneurs don't get that. They're not taught that. That I worked physically on the floor in my store. I saw the body shapes. I went into the change room with clients. I saw where their pain points. And one of the things that I picked up is it doesn't matter what size you are. So from a Hayley Joy small to a Hayley Joy 7XL. Every single one of us have got this little bit of shape here. It's a tiny, some people it's a tiny little indent, but it's so important because if you can just get the garment, if you look at what I'm wearing now, I've got all the swing for my tummy and my hips and my bum, but this is so important to just have it, not this box.
Yeah, I think that's important because that's something that I've noticed in the market. Also, one of the reasons that when like I told you earlier, when I wanted to be a fashion designer, long ago, that was one of the things that I saw in the market at the moment, is that any, like, I won't mention names, but any of the shops out there with big clothing, they make boxes and tents basically for the big people. And I mean, we also want to look sexy, you know, we also want to be like, you know, desirable.
That's my thing, is for me, I have to say plus size. I have to write plus size because that's what Google recognizes. So for SEO, search engine optimization, I need to put plus size. But I actually disagree with that, because I would rather call it a shape, not a size. And I actually trademarked a hashtag. Well, I trademarked the words a shape, not a size, because that really is what it's about. We are shapes. We are so many different shapes. I mean, I have reasonably thin legs from my knee, or from my mid-thigh down, but then my area of issue is here. So I use the thin leg to work around this, but I'm also very big about drawing attention here. So that's why I do a lot of, like collar and the zip open, and we do a lot of detail on our necklines, because that's, I mean, I'll actually show you just to give you an idea, and I can also show you the size. So this is a Hayley Joy 6XL. So you can see, and it doesn't look like anything on a hanger, unfortunately, but all of these tops have got this little bit of shape. This is called our miracle top, and it's a miracle plus size top. Looks like nothing on a hanger, looks amazing on the body, because the concept of this top is that bit of shaping. But then it's also just to do something, just a little bit of something on the neckline. Also, we all know that a V-neck is really the way to go. But I'm glad this is the one that I pulled out, because this is the 6XL.
But they are beautiful, because I can just imagine how they would hang on a person, would just look so nice when it hangs. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to ask you was, how are you coping with COVID? Has it affected you at all?
So in the beginning it was very scary, because I had a retail store, a very big retail store with big rental, and I kind of had that panic, that oh my word, and then I just did a 360 in my head. I'm like, this is all I know. I don't want to do anything else. I've never wanted to do anything other than play with fabric and design clothes and make women feel fabulous. So sorry about the background noise to who was watching, but that's what happens in this environment. So I took the COVID situation. I hadn't been in a great space in my head for a while. I love what I do, but I wasn't loving how I was doing it. And COVID enabled me to actually, because I was forced, the building was shut down, like I couldn't come to work. So it enabled me to just take a step back and reassess. And I started chatting to my clients on a different level. And that was a big thing, was actually getting beyond just selling clothes to them and chatting. What is your pain point? What would you like to wear? And in all of the conversation, the whole idea of leisure wear, lounge wear, pajama wear came into my mind. I just had this moment where I was like, besides the fact that we were locked down and everybody was at home, one of the things that I really craved was to be able to buy something that when I get home in the afternoon, I can take off my work clothes, put something on that's comfortable, that fits correctly, that isn't my husband's t-shirt from 20 years ago that's got holes. She's laughing. You can't see her, but she's actually laughing because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't want the t-shirt with the holes, but I also, one of the very big things, something that happened to me, is we went away and we stayed with friends. And I realized why I never stay with friends when we go away. Because in the morning, especially the boys, boys get up, they put on a pair of tracksuit pants, a t-shirt, and they go to the kitchen. The thinner girls in the household put on a pair of shorts. This was at the coast. Put a pair of shorts, put a t-shirt on, go to the kitchen. Then you've got Hayley, the plus size girl, who's only got, like, let's talk about like this, for instance. Like, you're not really going to put this on to go to breakfast in somebody's house. And that was where I picked up that there's this enormous gap. Nobody's making loungy leisure wear for the really big sizes. I know I can't. I don't know about you, but I can't go to a Woolies or a Milady's or a Donegal, and it's all too short. And it isn't what I want. I want a cotton t-shirt that isn't a box. I want a cotton t-shirt that's got shape. So I've just, can I move off your camera for a minute? I just want to show you. I've just found the most amazing t-shirting fabric. And this is a genuine plus size t-shirt. You can see it's got the length to it. It's got the long sleeves. It's got a v-neck. I mean, I keep going to this. Like, I'm going to have this one because I keep pulling it out. I just love this. And it's it's 100% cotton. That's what we want. And nobody's making, if they're making it, the sleeves are too tight, or the body's too short, or it's that box shape. These have all got this exact, we have the same shape because we had that one block, and from that one block. And if I can give anybody any advice who's going into the clothing game, before you initiate a range, before you even go anywhere near there, have a basic block. And I'll tell you why. I didn't. I used to cut out of my head, trying to find this perfect fit. And I then employed a very smart woman. And she was like, I can't believe you work like this. She's like, I don't know how you do this. You need a basic block. And that was the game changer in my business, like 9 years ago, when we actually developed this proper. Now we have that basic block. We just take it and we use it for everything. We have different blocks for different fabrics, obviously, but I never sweat about, oh my word, I found this fabulous fabric, but how are we going to have to start from scratch? I don't have that anymore. And that's huge. So that's just a little bit of advice for anybody who's going in. Develop a basic block first. Very important. I'm just going to pop this back.
I thought maybe you can also sew them in pants, because one of my sore points when I also, like I was mentioning earlier, when you go shopping, is you want to get a nice pair of pants, and then you have these things that hang as if you've got something between your legs. And with yours, I noticed that it looks like, it almost looks like it's made for a person to fit them almost perfectly. So you can actually see, like I can see even looking at it from here, that those pants will not hang by my knees in between my legs.
I mean, it is difficult to see them on a hanger. This is a Hayley Joy 2XL, but we go up. We can talk a little bit if you want to about the sizing. We go from a small, so our small would be more a 34 than a 32, but it's got tweaks in it as a plus size small. And we go all the way up to a 6XL that we stock, and we make 7XL to order. We also have a colored labeling system, which I had to do because that constant, please cut the labels out, please cut the labels out. I hate seeing my size. So we came up with this colored labeling system. So just to show you, that is actually a 3XL.
Okay.
But it's a turquoise bow. So one of the other things which I said to you earlier on was something that I clocked. When a client comes with her husband and she's a larger woman, I don't really want to be asking my sales assistant across the room in front of the husband, won't you bring me the new blue pajama set in a 5XL? He doesn't need to hear that. Because there's lots of psychology around plus sizing as well. Like, we need to take out the labeling, and part of that for me is the sizing. So now I would say, please will you bring me the new blue PJ set in a green label? The husband has no clue what size I just asked for. And she doesn't have that constant 5XL, 5XL, 5XL in her head. So that's the 3XL, and then that's our 2XL. A pink heart is a 2XL because I am a Hayley Joy 2XL. I'm the perfect. So I just decided I was going to choose the label that I was going to wear the most. I wanted to have a heart on it because when I sign my name, I always have a heart at the end of my name. Okay. So that's where it came from. Yeah, so that's a PJ loungewear leisure set, because a lot of my clients go, that's way too nice for pajamas. But it's a great set to come home from work, or if you go away on a weekend, it's a wonderful set. And also if the doorbell rings, that you're not in that t-shirt with all the holes, that you can actually go to the door and answer the door in something like that. So that's where that came from. So that came about during COVID. And one of the things that also happened to me in COVID, which was very interesting, is that I realized my clients need me. And they really, really went on a mission to make sure that I stayed in business. And I had amazing things happen. I had offers of financial help, interest-free. I had a client who messaged me. She said, Hayley, my husband is offering you bridging finance, if you need it, interest-free, because he says that his life would not be worth living if you weren't around to dress me.
Oh, shame. That's awesome.
And that's, and as wonderful it is, and it is a very special thing to have said, but it made me realize my worth. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the time as solo entrepreneurs, and especially in a niche game like this, I deal with a lot of very traumatized clients around their shape, their weight, I think that's when you really can step back and you can go, wow, I actually make a difference. Like all of the work that I've put in to build these relationships with clients and to show the authenticity, and that I really don't care about the money. I need the money to run the business. I need the money to pay wages. I need the money to buy fabric, because I love buying fabric and I love printing fabric, and it's very expensive to print all of this. So I need the money for that. But the money is not what inspires me. What inspires me is making the difference. And that was what happened to me. And I have to say that for me, there were a lot of amazing things that came out of COVID for me. I discovered my voice. I discovered my worth. I shifted my business. My lease on my retail store, which is 143 square meters, and I'd been there for 13 years, it was costing me a fortune. My lease came up at the end of June. In the middle of the pandemic, my lease came up. And I just made a decision. I said, I'm not renewing my lease. And I literally packed my store up, moved it upstairs in the same building, upstairs next to my factory. It was the best thing I ever did. Because it's freed me up from the shackle of having to make that rent and having to be there. Like I have flexibility now. We've changed our hours. We only work 10 till 3. So I can do loads of like photos and editing. And I have a private 670 women on private WhatsApp lists. And that's pretty much where I do most of my stuff, is I talk to them there, because it's engaged and it's one-on-one, and and the list is wonderful because I go to all of them. When they answer, they only answer me, so it's not a spam group or anything like that. But it's now given me time to spend more time earlier in the morning, that I can give an hour and a half to the WhatsApp lists, and then if I leave at 3, I'm home by 3:30. I've got 3:30 to 5:30. I can put in another 2 hours of all the social media stuff, and because mine is a difficult one to farm out in terms of social media. Like I have a very specific voice, and I tried it for 3 months. I brought in a company and I gave it to them, and my clients were not happy. And they actually verbalized it. I actually got messages saying, is somebody else doing your social media? And for the clients who don't really know, is somebody else doing your Facebook? And that's when I realized, like, it was that obvious that it wasn't me. And so I need time for that, because social media takes time. So that's a little bit about the COVID thing, and I have no intention right now of going back into retail. I'm happy. I'm doing a lot of courier stuff, lots and lots of courier, and happy.
I think what makes a difference is also that your customer service is like top notch. So that makes a difference in the business as well, because if you go and you care about your clients, because if you go to any other shop that does plus sizes, they don't actually care. They just have staff there that are just working there. I mean, I even met your other staff member that was here just now, and you can actually see she cares about the people that walk in the door, and I think that really makes a difference in a business as well.
So that's where my real passion comes in, and that's where again I say to you that it's not about the money, it's about making a difference. It's about serving. When you serve your clientele and they feel that it's not about the money, then it's a very different relationship, and it's a very different dynamic, and it's a very different energy that goes into everything in the business. So I spend a lot of time with clients. I spend loads of time on WhatsApp talking to clients, but also staff training is a big thing. So my hubby works with me in the business. He does all the courier stuff, and then he sends that WhatsApp with the tracking number. That's a line of communication. Now, maybe somebody wouldn't have thought about it. Maybe somebody wouldn't have thought to sit with him and just explain to him that there's a very big difference between sending a WhatsApp, just sending a tracking number, or, "Hi Ondeane, your parcel is on its way, here with the tracking number." So different. Okay. Just the language, just the connection, it already changes everything when you receive a WhatsApp. Like, I get a lot of WhatsApps that go, "Hi, do you have black pants?" I find it bizarre. Like, I find it so weird, and no regards or anything. Like, there'll just be a number. So if it's a new person, it'll be, "Hi, do you have black pants?" I don't know who I'm going back to. I can't address the person. So I have very, very strict protocols in how we talk to clients, because and again it comes back to, how do I want to be spoken to? Exactly. How do I want to, there's not a single store that I can go into. Like, I've been into a Donna Claire in Rosebank years ago, and I actually asked the staff, I said, "Does anybody from head office ever come and engage with you and ask you feedback? Do the clients like this? What are the clients asking?" Nothing. She said, both of the ladies that were working there, they both said to me, nobody ever asks them. I ask Brilliant, who is my sales lady. She's front of store. When I'm not here, she's dealing with clients. I ask her opinion all the time. We had a meeting this morning, a production meeting this morning about the next leisure wear range. I pulled her in. Which neckline should we do? Should we trim in black? Should we do it all in the same fabric? It's really important that the people who are representing the company have the same value as, she's not inside my head. I need to be training all the time. So I'm very, even though he's my hubby, he's handling that side of the business, but the messaging needs to be consistent. Yeah, definitely.
I also think that when you bring her in and you ask her a question, it makes her feel like she's actually part of it, which I think is also important in businesses, because a lot of businesses don't do that, and the people just feel like they're there for nothing,
Yeah, I with my production team as well. When I try a new sample on, I'll feedback everything. We'll talk about, if it's this jacket, we'll talk about the position of the pockets. We'll talk about this jacket that I'm actually wearing hasn't been hemmed yet, and the reason for that is we have them hanging in the showroom. So if you come in, because if you can see how long those sleeves are on me, then all we do is we just, while you're here. Because that's the other thing about being plus size, is you're so used to disappointment. You're so used to constantly not having access to things, that I want to make that experience as seamless and beautiful as possible. So you come in, we fit it on you, sleeves are too long, no problem. We pin the sleeves on you, we send it next door to the factory, they hem, and you can leave with your jacket. So I'm not going to have to wait another 2 weeks because we're going to have to make one. And so there's lots of little tweaks and hacks to making the experience a beautiful experience, and it's all based on how I would like to shop.
And I think that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask you, I know you print your own fabric, as you also mentioned. How did it happen that you actually started
to print your own fabric? Like you were like, okay, well, I think I'm going to start doing my own fabric. Because I know when I met you at Scoobs, I was still laughing because I said to you, how do you ever stop? Because I would just be printing and printing because I'd be having so much fun. So how did it actually start?
So the only thing that stops me from printing is it is unfortunately a very, very expensive hobby. Very. So you're paying for the base fabric. So let's say like that, you're paying for that plain white fabric. Mm-hmm. This is sublimation printing, so you print onto paper first. The paper is 13 Rand a square meter. So not even a meter, a square meter. And then you press the paper and the fabric through a heat press. Mm-hmm. On the paper printer, you've got 4 ink cartridges that work out at 6,000 Rand. They're 1,000 something. They're liter, and there are 4 of them. So it's like 6,000 Rand for those 4 inks, plus the electricity to run, because the heat press runs at 200 degrees. So the electricity consumption is mad. So it is not really a viable thing in South Africa, especially for small quantities. But I have had a dream to design and print my own fabric, literally from when I went to college at 18. And I never ever thought it was possible. And then on a business trip to China, I came across a young guy who had his own store, couldn't speak a word of English, I couldn't speak a word of Mandarin, but we performed magic. And he, I don't know why, I don't know how, the law of attraction, it must be, agreed to print me 80-meter rolls of fabric. Now in China you cannot, so if you want this in 5 colors, you would need 5 variations. You would need to print a minimum of 1,500 meters per color, because they don't, and they're not interested, they're so big, they're not interested in me who's going to come along and say, can I have 50 meters of that and 50 meters of that's like not a happening thing. There are places where you can find overruns and you can buy, but then you're buying somebody else's stuff. He was happy to do 1 roll per color per print. So I had a party with him. We had the best time. He had a computer, and I sat and I said I couldn't design my own designs, but I could take his designs and I could tweak them. So he had a really fun design and it had princess written all over it. So we took the princess out and we put my initials, HJW. So I would point and he'd look at me and he'd go, cancel, and I'd be like, yes, cancel. Oh, okay, cancel. And then he'd delete it. And that was the only word that we had, this cancel. And anyway, he shipped me this fabulous fabric. So I had this feeling, and of course it was amazing because it was exclusive to me. I had a season where nobody had the same fabric as me, so it stood out, it was different. My clients loved the fact that they had all this exclusive fabric. And then it's a very long story how I got into all of this, but I did an iPhone photography course. And in that course I started to play in all these apps where you could mirror image things. Mm-hmm. And in that mirror imaging, month 1 in that course, I was like, I can make fabric prints. So my hubby comes home one day and he says, there's a young graphic designer that's at CrossFit with me. I said, bring him. Bring him. I want to talk to him. So he came around and I said, listen, I've bought this printer and I've bought this press. I just went out and bought them. My accountant and my hubby were like, how are you? I said, don't worry, I will make a plan, but I'm going to do this. So I said to him, I sat him down, I said, Craig, I said, listen, I know nothing about Photoshop. I've never ever even looked at Photoshop. Help me. I need 10 steps in Photoshop to bring my iPhone photo in, do whatever I need to do, create the size of the print, and print it. Can you help me? Yes, he can help me. So he sat with me, and I'm very old-fashioned. I wrote each thing down. Click here, click there, click there, click there. He gave me the 10 steps. I spent days just clicking, teaching myself. It's the most roundabout way. It makes no sense. Nobody could ever fathom out what I've constructed, but I think that's how great things happen anyway, sometimes if you don't know. And I have this way to manipulate my photos in Photoshop and because I have to create so I can do everything on my iPhone, but the actual size of the repeat pattern thing, I have to make that in Photoshop. So I had to learn how to do that. And Photoshop's a beast. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, it is a beast. But anyway, I've got 10 steps. I know nothing else. I've tried to watch YouTube videos and whatever, but you know what? I've got my 10 steps. I'm very safe with them. So, and that's how it started. And I started printing my own fabric, and then I was able to start doing that thing. Ondeane, big girls want to wear pink. It is very difficult for bigger girls to wear pink properly, but they don't look like a big
candy floss
or marshmallow or whatever. So the kind of thing that I do is, this is what I do. There is the pink. There is the print on the pink. So there's lots of pink, but it's absolutely flattering. Like there's no issue around here around wearing the pink. You've got the pink zip, you've got the pop of pink. It's just, that's the kind of thing that I wanted to do, number one. The other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to do the vertical stripes. And I've done vertical stripes somewhere in this place. There's a top that I've done. I'm going to walk off your camera. I want to see if I can find it.
Yeah, because that's
Where
something.
they sold it.
They only make horizontal stripes, and that all of us know that makes you bigger.
Yeah, I think we've sold it. But that was a big thing for me, was to do fun coloured vertical stripes, and I've done a fortune of that. I've done plain, like black and red and grey, and everything is vertical, because that's the thing. You can't buy vertical stripes. Like all of the fabric suppliers, they all bring in their fabric. It's all horizontal, and I mean, you've got a Dominicane, you've got a navy and white horizontal striped t-shirt. I'm like, why? Like, it is the 101 no of, and my girls hate that they disrespected like that. Buy all the chains that offer those stripes. So we do everything. So there was that, but there was also the ability to like do, I'm going to walk off your camera again.
That's fine.
Like this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
This is called, this is called watercolor. I sold this so well. You know why? Because there's a lot of white, but there's a lot of color. And that is the thing. This is what we want to be able to wear, but we can't have it see-through. This is not see-through at all. You don't see anything through this. It's perfect. I mean, can you see it? There's nothing.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. So I was able to do this, but the nice thing is I do Facebook Lives, and I do videos to my WhatsApp lists, and I show them I can print. That's the advantage that I have, being able to print it myself. I can print a 5 or 10 centimeter sample at very little cost, actually. If I have to go to a company that does it and ask for a sample, they charge 300, 400, 500, 600 rand just for the sample piece. I have the luxury of being able to say, okay, I've got 10 new prints, I'm going to do 10 centimeters, that's 1 meter, so I waste a meter fabric. It's not waste, it's market research, but it definitely doesn't cost me 600 rand, and that's, the advantage. I can fast track prints. The other thing is that if you're doing it with somebody else, you will send them the samples, then you'll wait. Then you'll receive the samples back, and then maybe out of the 10 you're like 6 and 4 aren't great, and you want to tweak the 4. Then you go back again, then they print another sample. By the time you've finished with that, there's going to be no profit in the range, because you've spent so much money on the sampling. So that's the great advantage that I have, is that I can play. And I always say, I don't come to work, I come to a playground.
That's important.
Yeah.
According to you, now this is for people out there that maybe want to do designing. According to you, what do you think are the skills that are necessary for becoming a successful fashion designer or someone in the fashion business?
I think first and foremost you have to understand business. One of the big things about being a fashion designer is you can't just be a fashion designer doll. Do you know what I mean? Like that, you need to know up front, you need to know if this garment is going to make business sense. Because it does not help to go and design this hell of a fancy number if it doesn't make business sense. I'm going to give you an example. I've just designed this garment with these hell of a sleeves.
They're stunning.
It is a complete indulgence, this, because there is very little profit on this top. The reason being that this takes an enormous amount of fabric. It's quite difficult if you don't know to understand, but this thing is this like massive circle, and there are two of them. But I really wanted to do this for my clients because I wanted to give them something fabulous, and the sleeve is so fabulous.
Yeah,
like it's just so amazing. So this I can get away with because I balance this whereby I offer this in two sleeves. I offer it in that, and then I offer it just in the normal straight sleeve. So if you balance the two out, you'll get a balance. But it doesn't, if something's going to take 6 hours and you're going to get 2,000 Rand for it, there's absolutely, that doesn't make business sense. So my advice is, you do need some kind of cost accounting. You need to know how to cost a garment. And I'm actually going to share with you, and you can maybe look into it. There is a lady called Colleen Jack. I don't know if you know Colleen. Colleen has an incredible course for fashion designers. For it's I've seen, so she, you know Melanie Brummer from the tie-dye, the lady who does all the tie-dye stuff.
I've got a book,
yeah. So Melanie and Colleen did a free webinar thing during hard lockdown, and Colleen was sharing. I mean, I watched it. It was mind-blowing. She covers everything from pattern making, to feasibility, to she is really, her course is amazing. And that's the kind of thing I would say, spend your money doing a course like that before you even buy your first sewing machine, because two things will come out of that. You'll know if you really want to do this, because there is nothing fancy about being a fashion designer. It is hard work. It may look all glam, like when I go out on my videos it looks all glam and whatever, but let me tell you, when I'm on my feet fighting with a pattern in production because we want to get it perfect, there's nothing glamorous about that. And Colleen's course does that thing where she enables you to decide, is this really for you? And I think for a lot of young kids like coming out of school that are going to do 3 years at fashion design college and then they're going to be a fashion designer, it doesn't work like that at all. You know, and it takes an old dog like me to tell you that it doesn't work like that. It is hard slog. There's so many aspects to doing fashion. The secret is, don't copy what anybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Be original.
Big thing there.
Yeah. Be original and build a tribe. So I think today there's an amazing opportunity to do it so different. It's so different to when I was doing it. I mean, how did I ever reach my clients? Like, I had to go to a function for somebody to notice me. Today, you have social media. So if I was starting out now, I would just, from the word go, I would start a real-time blog thing on Insta, on Facebook, on LinkedIn as well. I mean, obviously you'll tweak them for the different platforms, but you have that opportunity to share everything. I take my clients shopping with me. I take them into warehouses. All the fabrics lying on the floor. I stand there with my camera. I'm like, do you like this? What do you think of this? Should I buy this? I do real-time market research. I take them on the journey with me. So in actual fact, two bits of advice. Definitely I would look into Colleen Jack's. We'll find her details. You can pop her details up. Brilliant. I mean, she's one of the best I've seen from a local South African perspective. And use social media. Use it to your advantage from the get-go so that you build a tribe, because that's what you need, so that when you start to launch your ranges and your individual pieces, you already have an engaged tribe who will start buying from you. That's what it's about. You can't just go out into the world. There are too many people just going out into the world. But social media allows you to build a tribe.
Yeah, I agree. No, that's I think that's always important. Is to have your tribe and to know who are you marketing to.
Yeah.
Because if you just start something and you don't actually know who you're focusing it on, you can spend a lot of money on nothing, basically.
Yeah.
So
that whole thing of your client avatar is such a brilliant exercise to do. And you know, they deep dive into it, what are they eating, what are they watching on TV, where are they shopping, where do they go on holiday. It sounds so like, really? But when you actually identify your future client, then what you've just said 100%, then you tailor your marketing, you eliminate months if not years of trashing range after range after range because you're appealing to the wrong people. If you start gearing, and also, you know what, Ondeane, one thing that's come out very strongly in the last year through this whole COVID thing, nothing is about me anymore. Like when I first started out, it was all about me. It's not about us, it's about your client. 100% about your client. So if your client tells you they want pockets on things, then put pockets on things. You can't be precious and say, oh, I hate pockets, I'm not doing pockets. If your client wants pockets, put pockets. And that's where it's also so important to, when you take your future, or your existing and future on a journey with you, it's about them, it's not about you. You like big fancy collars that are uncomfortable to wear, good for you. Don't do that, because you're just going to put, and people will move on. And that's the thing, people have so many options today because they can follow every second person on Instagram. So what makes you stand out? What makes you special? And that's what you've got to do. And then when you've identified what makes you special, then make that specialness about your client.
Yeah, because otherwise you get taken over by the Chinese market.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And they will make everything like 50% less than what you're selling it for. Yeah. But the quality is also 50% less.
Yeah, yes and no, because there is some of the stuff from Asia that is actually really nice. And something that's really interesting about that is, I used to get, funny enough, I don't get it anymore, but I used to get a lot of, oh, but I can buy that from the Chinese market for 80 Rand. And I'd be like, well then, be my guest, if it fits you as good as Hayley Joy. But I'm past that now, because I own my worth now. I know who I am, I know what I'm doing, and I know the value of my clothing because I wear it myself. It's also a very important thing for a young designer. You need to wear your own clothing. So if you're a guy designing women's clothing, that's going to be a little bit different, but then find a muse. Find your sister, your cousin, your girlfriend, a friend, somebody to actually physically wear it, to feel it, to feed back to you how they feel in it. I never second guess anything that we make, because I wear it first. And if it works for me and it's comfortable on me and I get compliments, once I've had 2 compliments, first thing in the morning, like when I walk in downstairs and the security lady downstairs goes, oh, I love your jacket. I'm like, tick. I do my own market research on myself. So I hear what you're saying about the Chinese stuff and the Chinese markets here, and I do hear that. And it was when they first flooded in, it was a problem for me. But people also get savvy, and they realize you can go and buy a 5XL from the Chinese market for 80 Rand, and the body is that voluminous and the sleeves are that small, because they don't get it.
Yeah.
You need a plus size girl like me who lives the arm issue, the tummy issue, the bum issue, the top leg issue. You need somebody like me to design for you. You can't have somebody who's that thin. They won't get it. They won't get this. And especially South African, we've got arms as South African girls, and the Chinese don't. They have these skinny little, so all of their big size tops, they all cut under the arm really badly. So yeah, I don't fear it anymore. It used to be an issue for me, but I've let that go, and I own what I do.
Awesome. Last question.
Yes.
How can people buy your beautiful clothes? So how do they get hold of you? How do they go about doing it?
So they can, if they're comfortable to come to our physical showroom, they can come to the showroom, which you'll pop the address. I'll give you the address, or we're online at www.hayleyjoy.com. And I would say that the best thing to do is to actually join my WhatsApp lists. So they're private. It's me going out to everybody. I always have to remind people it's not a group. There's no spam. I don't interject and send you a funny little meme every morning, and I keep it focused on the clothing. But it's a nice space to be because it's safe. It's interactive. I share things to the WhatsApp lists that I don't share anywhere else, because often what happens is I just sell it out. So if I buy fabric, because I do buy as well, I'm just a fabricaholic, so I buy, I print, but if I buy fabric and I only get a roll of 25 meters, if I send it out to the WhatsApp, it never ever goes onto Facebook or Instagram or in emailers. So I would say that's what you'll drop my cell number in, or my WhatsApp number, and just send me a WhatsApp that says WhatsApp please with your name and number, and I'll add you with pleasure. That's probably the best one. And then, as I said, they can look on the online store. You can shop on the online store as well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for joining me and for letting me come here and be part of this.
Thank you.
And see all the
It
beautiful
was nice. I haven't told the story in that context for a while, so it was nice to tell the story.
Oh. Well, thank you very much.
And thank you for filming in my little shoebox. It's very different to what it used to be. It used to be a huge 140 square meter shop, and it's now a 25 square meter little space. But how, you know,
more focused.
It's more focused, and it's also, this is a sign of the times. Less is more.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need those huge expenses anymore, and this is working perfectly, if not better.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ondeane. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So that was the video. I hope that it was enjoyable for you and that you learned something new and that you maybe got inspired to do something of your own business or your own creation. I will put all of the links that we spoke about in the video, I'll put it in the description block below. So if you like the video, if you can please give it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed already, if you can please do so and click the subscription block below. And also, if you click the notification bell, you'll be informed of when I upload a video. And this will show support for my channel, which I also really do appreciate. And if you look in the description block below, all of my social media will also be there, including my blog, which is where you'll find more content from me. And if you go to www.patreon.com/Ondeane Lourens, you'll also find more content from me. And then it's also the best place for you to support what I do on this channel, and then also what I do on my blog. So I hope that you have a lovely day further. Keep your crystal on and your sparkle strong. Goodbye.